It's by life to the afterlife. It's by life, ayy. Yeah, we live that by life. Last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread. You could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog. It's all about the legacy. Yeah, we live that by life. Last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread. You could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog. It's all about the legacy. It go bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay. It's by life, baby, they changed the mark game. My dog well behaved even when he off the chain. Since I bought him to Apparium, he never been the same. They got everything from puppies to canines. Based in South Florida, connected like worldwide. Drop them off when you gotta work at 9 to 5. Every dog got his day, baby, it's showtime. So stop by, come through for a visit. You ain't tried everything and your dog won't listen.
Hey, this is Mordechay with Dream Chasers Radio. We are in Miami, Florida. We are at Bite Life, the best indoor canine training facility over here in Miami. And we're going to go inside right now. We're going to talk to Eric Gonzales. He is the owner, and he's going to tell us why he's the best. Why everybody, what is the commotion about? Why everybody wants to come to this man to train their dogs, okay? Oh, okay. Hey, hello, it's Dream Chasers. We're supposed to have an interview today. Eric?
Hey, how you doing?
The dog all right, man?
The dog's okay.
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, man? Let me check you out in here.
Pleasure, how are you, sir?
How you doing? Yeah, supposed to have an interview today, and
I'm Gonzales. Please, welcome.
Thank you. Wow.
So this is our boy Judah. He's
Wow.
a Dutch Shepherd, currently 7 years old.
Wow. Hey, Judah.
Judah, good boy. So what he does is he alerts us whenever anybody arrives. So I do not discourage that because that's a great alarm that we have.
Yeah.
So once I'm comfortable with the guest or the visitor, I'll calm him down. And the reason is coming from a law enforcement background, 98% of the criminal element are in fear of dogs, meaning that a dog in your presence will deter the criminal element, at least 98% of the criminal element that would have bad intent, such as a robbery, home invasion, or what have you. So it's a great investment for you all out there, especially during these hard times, such as the COVID, where a lot of people are at home. It's a good investment to have a dog by your side, deterring all of these threats.
Wow. Wow. And I see all your credentials. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I'm curious. I see all this. You used to be in law enforcement yourself?
I used to be a correction officer for 10 plus years.
Oh.
I did a crossover and I became a police cadet graduate.
Okay.
And I started traveling internationally, and so I deterred my options of going from corrections to police. And the reason is I got hired to go overseas to Afghanistan. And obviously, overseas money, tends to influence a little bit. And so I chose to stay traveling or what have you, and I never pursued the police aspect to its full capacity. But what I do have, I have the credentials as far as my crossover certification from corrections all over to law enforcement, from corrections to law enforcement. I have my, here where I had the privilege of being an expert instructor for law enforcement. These are multiple agencies that come from across the state for training.
Wow.
I was an instructor there. These are some of the local law enforcement agencies, Miami Gardens, Wapalaka, that come to the facilities. We open up the facilities on Wednesday for law enforcement. And just overall training credentials that I have and some pictures.
So you train police dogs?
As well. Here's the chief of police right there on from the city of Miami Gardens.
This is Miami Gardens.
Right, Miami Gardens Police Department. Chief Pratt. And I got credentials around. I got many more, but it's too many to put up on the walls because they're just.
I know him. That's Officer Booker.
Officer Booker. Right?
Yeah.
Officer Booker, yes. He's currently a Miami Gardens police officer.
Wow. Great. So, do you get a lot of customers here usually?
We got a lot of customers, yeah, a lot of word of mouth. And we actually can go over here. I can show you right here. Here's one of the, when I was in law enforcement, this was when I was with the Inspector General's office. And I did that for many, many years. And actually retired from the department from that position.
So your business is called Bite Life.
Yeah, it's called Bite Life. Obviously,
Bite Life.
We have a salt life enthusiast, those that are intrigued by the salt world, whether it be the beaches, the boating, or what have you. And, you know, so I came up with the idea of Bite Life, and Bite Life is for the canine enthusiast. The interesting thing about Bite Life is whether you're poor, rich, cold climate, high climate, canines tend to be a very therapeutic companion, and so we find that everywhere in the world there are many people that embrace the dog as part of their pack, part of their family.
Interesting. Now let me ask you something. I noticed it says indoor. Is there other outdoors facilities? What are the difference between indoor, outdoor? What are the benefits of an indoor facility?
Well, the indoor training facility is an idea that I came up with because I noticed that where traditionally dogs are taken out to parks or what have you, and trained in park environment, fields or what have you, I find that the climate can be challenging at times, whereas especially being in South Florida, Miami, we have a strong season of hurricanes or what have you, and so we'll go through a heavy season of rain, limiting our training capabilities when we're training dogs. And so what I decided to do was create an indoor training facility to mimic a park concept with jumps and this, that, or whatever, with green grass as if, you know, with green flooring as if it were green grass or what have you, so that the climate will not limit us. And so the idea is for us to franchise the Bite Life. If you notice, this says Bite Life Miami. The idea is to have a Bite Life Atlanta, New York, you know, Tennessee, and just different cities throughout the country where we're not limited because of space, whereas we focus on bringing indoor facilities throughout the country. So we could be in a metropolitan city and or in a rural area. As long as it's indoor, we're not limited by the climate.
Wow. So, but I also saw you doing outside. So you do both.
We do both.
You do outside and you do inside.
We do inside and we do
indoor.
Outside, obviously.
Oh man.
But the inside is something that
So you're like all around.
We're all around. We're all around, indoor and outdoor, obviously. But the indoor is something that I really want to capitalize, and then we want to be able to go to Manhattan, New York, right in the middle of the city, and have a 2,000 square foot loft and be able to train comfortably with a group of people.
Wow. Wow. So, well, can we go in? Because I really want to see what you have in there, and what you do. You know.
You want to see what I do?
Yeah.
Let's consider Judah. Judah, stand. Good boy. Watch. Good boy. Circle.
Oh my God.
Circle. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. Pretty. Good boy. Up. Wait. Pretty. Cover. Up. Cover. Good boy. Down.
Oh wow.
Good. Cover. Good. Judah. Up. 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 Up.
Oh.
Good boy. Cover. Hide and seek. Cover. Cover. Good boy. He's a good boy. So that's some of the stuff that we do with the animals.
Yeah.
All right. So Judah is our demo dog. We call him our demo dog. So he's not a dog that you just prepare for police department. He's one that pretty much promotes the company. All right. People come. They want to see what we do. We kind of show off with different dogs that we have throughout the facility.
Wow. That's amazing. How do you do that? I mean, you know, I have a dog. I can. That right there is like, he's like a person.
Very patient. You have a lot of patience. A lot of patience with these animals. You know, at the end of the day, one of the good things that we know and we capitalize on is understanding that they're pack animals, and so they need that companionship. A lot of times people come and they'll say, "Yo, my dog has an anxiety issue." It really doesn't have an anxiety issue. It's an unfair situation in that you bring the dog into your environment, and then instead of taking the dog everywhere you go, as families do, a lot of times we leave them behind. And in doing so, they get anxious. Why? Because they're pack animals. They want to be with you. They want to embrace you. They want to, they want to be therapeutic.
Wow, that makes
And
sense.
so it's important to understand that being that they come from a pack perspective, that they need your companionship. And having your companionship is very, very important. And so when you go to work, when you go to school, and when you're gone for 8, 10, 15 hours a day, the dog doesn't understand that you pay bills, that you pay rent, and all these things occur. So what happens is, it's important to understand that by them being pack animals, a good investment will be an additional 4-day companion, be it a cat, be it another dog, or what have you. Why? Because it allows them to feel part of a pack, which they were bred to be a part of. So when you can't be there 24/7 because life is what it is as far as work and school or what have you, it's important to keep your animal in mind and allowing a companion. Obviously, a fish is not going to be good enough because the fish doesn't have 4 legs like they do. But if you get even a cat and you can acclimate them with each other, that will be a good companion as well as a different different breed or what have you. Or maybe having a fixed Chihuahua, having something. Let's say you have a protection dog or what have you, and you're a little concerned about his anxiety issues. Just add a companion, and you'll be surprised how life changes for you for the better.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So, can we go in now? I really, really want to see what you got in there.
Guys ready? Follow me. Wait, I got something to say. Good boy, Judah. Never go into a canine environment without being escorted like I'm going to escort you. Why?
Yes, sir.
It's important to understand that whenever you're going into an environment as such, you can run into a loose dog. So for safety purposes, you want to make sure that you escort it. Right here in the state of Florida, it says in the 76704, it says that a bad dog sign has to be evident, so that if a child that learns 2 and 3 letter words like bad, sad, mad, cat can read when there's a bad dog on the premises. Why? Because they can take a person's life if the dog is not trained. So again, before you go onto anybody's property where there's a hint that there's a dog, make sure that you're escorted before you walk into danger. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whoa.
Let me explain. It's a little louder.
Please, yes. Wow. Okay. Explain to me, what did I just walk into, please?
You walked into a dog training facility. This is not a training facility for the little foo-foo animals. It's actually where we train lion, tigers, and bears. Not literally, but we do deal with a lot of animals that are very tenacious in character. So what you walked into our immediate area. When you first walk into our immediate area, where there's the green grass or what have you, that's our phase 1. Our phase 1 facility is where we receive the dogs and we do an evaluation, which will be for about a minute, maybe an hour, maybe for a couple of hours, where they're in that environment where we get to test them. In our facility, we have cameras or what have you. And so while we're in the office, the owner can come, and basically what you'll see is we're behind this wall right now. When you walk in, this being our phase 1, we have our podcast set up. But as you see this dog tied out, if I get a new dog, we'll tie him out. The owner can see here, and what it allows us to do, it allows us to see the animal's behavior away from the owner. Why is that important? Because a lot of times the owner can tell you that the dog is like this or like that. But one thing that I've learned throughout the years is, let your dog talk. Actually, that's the name of my podcast. Why? Because the dogs actually speak louder than what you think. How? By behavior, what have you. So what we do is we'll bring the dog in as part of our evaluation. We'll analyze the animal in person with the owner. Then we'll separate the animal, put them in an environment where the owner can see it, and we'll go out there. You know what happens at times? Sometimes we'll go out there because the owner's not around. They're a little nervous. They'll get aggressive. And so it's important to understand that to determine what will be the appropriate package to assign the dog to, since we have multiple packages from passive to more aggressive situations. Okay, So when you walk in, we have a few crates. The crates allows us to put the dog also in the crate to see how the dog will act in the crate environment. Sometimes the dogs are so destructive, they'll go right through the crate with no problem. A lot of these crates are made out of plastic or what have you, and it allows us to see the dog's behavior in a confined environment. Mind you, the dog is a den-oriented creature. The crate is nothing more than a modern form of a den. But because of the way the dogs are brought up, maybe their nerves or what have you, they may get anxious and destroy a crate just to be with the animal. As I said earlier, they're pack animals, they want to be with you. And sometimes when you put them in a crate and you disappear, they don't understand you're in the other room. They just know you've disappeared. They don't see you. They get anxious and they want to break out. So part of our evaluations, we'll see the dogs, we'll tie the dog out, we'll approach the dog like in a yo-yo effect, in and out, to see if the dog is going to be aggressive or passive or friendly. Then we'll put him in a crate, we'll analyze his behavior in a crate. Meanwhile, the owner is in here with us analyzing the situation, all right? Then, if you go into our second phase where the young lady was saying, hey, and that once you pass that gate area right here, it tends to put you right into what we call phase 2. Phase 2 allows us to see a lot of dogs that are tied out, and the intent for that purpose is when we walk into that environment with a dog for training purposes, once the dog's been with us for a few days, we'll deliberately train the animal in front of other animals. And this is important to understand. When you're walking down your neighborhood and there's dogs running in their yard up to the fence barking at you, your dog can't allow that energy to take over. They need to be attentive to you as the handler and or owner, and what you determine is what the animal should do. That's what makes you the alpha. When an animal anticipates or initiates anything, such as I open the door, the dog runs out, or here's the ball, throw it for me. When they anticipate and or initiate, what tends to happen is they're telling you they're the alpha, they run things. No, as the person that owns the animal, that's given them the privilege to live in your environment, that works hard to pay the rent and everything like that, you cannot allow the animal to initiate and or anticipate. Actually, you're the one in the authority to do so since you've brought that animal into your household. But there's ways to communicate so that the animal can understand. So remember, when you're communicating with an animal, you want to make sure that your verbiage, your body language, and your equipment are working together as a team to get the communication across. Then you start initiating and or anticipating what the dog should do, and combining those two factors, the initiation, anticipation with the communication, it allows you to become the alpha. Because remember, because they're pack animals, they come from a hierarchy perspective. So they want to be the alpha. It's in their blood to become an alpha one day, to run a pack for themselves. So as long as they're in your environment, you got to make sure to always remind them that you're the alpha by how you learn to communicate by a professional such as myself.
Wow, that's a lot of info. Let me ask you something. I want our viewers to know that this is unrehearsed. I just showed up. I talked to you on the phone. I came over here, but I know that you have a book. Didn't you wrote a book about how to handle dogs and everything?
Right, I have a book called Dog Training for the General Public. This is unrehearsed, but actually I got a copy right here.
Because I know, you gave a lot of information. You actually know what you're talking about.
I think I know a little bit. So this is a book that I wrote called Dog Training for the General Public.
Can you put it to the camera?
Yeah, sure. I actually wrote it in 2007. I published it in 2008. When I published it, it was self-publishing or what have you. I'm actually working on a new project pertaining dog training.
So wasn't a dog training for the general public?
This is dog training for the general public. I was working years ago on a book called Dog Training for the Government Agency, which requires different angles and different perspectives on the training. But I'm currently working on a new project, and once that project it's already concluded, I'll definitely get a hold of you. Maybe we can talk about it then.
Wow. Yeah, please do, because I really want to read. I have a dog myself, as I said before, and I sometimes I lack wisdom.
Well, what I'm focusing
to deal with them.
When I'm working on this new material, in this new material, I'm definitely working on the niches that I feel that I've brought to the industry that has helped many that have been mentored by myself. There are things such as the mark concept. When the mark initially started, it was brought to my mentor, Omar Mueller. And listen, Embrace those that take time to teach you. Omar Mueller is one of my mentors. When he introduced me to the mark concept, it was for studio purposes. It was for filming. It was to be able to put a dog on a spot to perform while the trainer was out of sight for the sake of movies and photo shoots and things of that sort. But what I found in my audience is that they weren't interested in doing movies. They were interested in having an obedient dog in their environment where there was no issues or concerns. And so I realized that I could take the knowledge of the mark concept for the studio world and combine it with my general public who didn't want their dog stuck in a bedroom or in a bathroom, as many people tend to do when the dog becomes a nuisance. So what I did was I took the mark, and instead of making it smaller to make the mark disappear for the sake of the film, I actually used the mark and grow it according to the animal. So what I did with the mark was it replaces the crate, which has 4 walls, and it allows the dog to remain in a confined environment without moving, but yet not being tied out or anything like that. So here's the advantage. As you walked in earlier, you noticed when you walked in, there was a dog on the mark. Canine Judah, my Dutch Shepherd, he was on a mark. He'll bark, he'll let me know somebody's there, but he won't move from there.
He won't move.
Right.
That's right.
So as I mentioned earlier, the 98% criminal element that show up here with bad intent, whether it be my office, whether it be my home or whatever, when they walk into and they violate our space and walk into our environment and see a loose dog, guess what's going to happen? They're going to think twice, they're going to turn around, they're going to flee.
I close that door real quick.
Exactly. Why? Because the dog is loose and is intimidating you.
Yeah.
But notice the furthest he got off was he took his 2 paws off and he kept his rear paws off because he already understands that he is not allowed to leave that mark at no cost.
Wow.
But because he's intense, or he's excited, or he's on alert mode because somebody's unexpectedly arriving, he's gonna let it be known that, hey, somebody's there. And so it's a great deterrent, and I can't stress it. 98% of your criminal element will definitely avoid a confrontation such. And you know what's interesting about that? Me coming from a law enforcement background, a person will be willing to challenge you with a weapon for weapon. But when you think about the intimidation that the dog brings to the table, they'll definitely avoid it, because guess what? If the dog doesn't take their life, the dog can leave them scars for life, and people flee from that. And the 98% ratio is a good evidence of such.
Wow. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Valerie.
Good boy. Come in.
Eric, let me ask you something, man. Because I only, see you like training big dogs. Do you train little dogs?
Actually, we do. Actually, I have a nice little Frenchie by the name of Baruch that's been hanging out with me for a couple of years. And he's actually real good friends with Judah. We do a lot of stuff together with them.
Really?
If you notice when you first came in on the sign, you see them together, sitting pretty, what have you.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I
He
see.
was right here.
Oh.
He's a good boy. Bang! Good boy. Circle. Circle. Good boy. Not sweet. Baruch. What's up, buddy? Come here. Good. Mark. Good. Pretty. Bang! Good boy. Circle. Quick. Good boy. Circle. He's a good boy. What's up, buddy? And listen, it's all about Mark. Good. Mark. Good. Quick. Mark. Mark. Good boy. When dogs are properly socialized, they can get goodness. Good food. Are you? Mark. Good boy. Boy. Sit. Pretty. Good. Circle. Good. Wait. Circle. Wait. Good boy. Good. Load up. Wait. Good boy.
What do you tell him? Load up? And he just goes in?
Yeah, load up means to go into his crate.
Yeah.
So when
He goes in the
Mark
cage.
will load up, you have to go into his crate and on Mark.
What kind of dog is that?
This
The
is
little
a
one.
French bulldog. He's currently 3 years old. He actually skateboards.
How old?
3 years old.
Oh.
He actually skateboards as well.
He skateboards.
He's a skateboard.
Ah,
He knows not to get off the mark unless called. Good. Mark. Good boy. Come. Good. Mark. Circle. Good. Good. Circle. Good. Down. Wait. Down. Wait. Cover. 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 Good, so good cover. Good boy. His body structure doesn't give him the liberty to perform as obviously a German Shepherd or what have you, but he has a lot of little good cute tricks going on.
yeah. I know.
These dogs, they fatigue very easily, especially in the climate of like South Florida offers on a continual basis where it's so hot. When you're dealing with dogs that their muzzle are very pushed in, you have to be very careful and keep it in consideration. These dogs can work for 5-10 minutes and fatigue themselves, and if you don't know how to read between the lines, you can push the dog to the point of wanting to please you to the point that they'll drive themselves right to the ground.
Wow.
So it's very, you have to be very patient with them, and don't expect a dog as such to perform like a German Shepherd or what have you.
That's why it's so cold in here, man.
Yeah, definitely.
You got that thing kicking.
Yeah, we keep it nice and cool in here so that these dogs can actually hang out in a more conducive environment. This is not an outside dog for South Florida. This is an indoor dog. And the disadvantage is when we have hurricanes or what have you, which happen to happen, they tend to fatigue and stress. And so can you imagine you stressing and the dog stressing? So keep that in mind. One of the things that I encourage and I push, with common sense, get the dogs acclimated to the environment that they're in, so that if we ever lose power, the dog doesn't stress as much because the dog has been conducive to the environment in which he was brought up in. All right? So even though you're in a house with AC, make sure you take those walks and make them long walks so they can get used to they can get acclimated to the climate in which they're in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I do. Thank you, man. Well, Eric, man, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for inviting Dream Chasers here, man. This is an amazing place you have here, really. I mean, I learned a lot. And when I get another dog, I'm going to bring him to you, man. You know, let him teach him a little bit, some of those cool tricks.
I appreciate it very much. I'm looking forward to helping you and anybody out there that needs our assistance in the South Florida area. Listen, we even got dogs that are coming from all different parts of the country because they trust in our services. But listen, it doesn't matter if you live in an apartment, you live in a house, it doesn't matter if it's small or if it's large. As long as you're bonding with the animal trusts you, you can get the animal to pretty much do everything and anything you desire. All right, I'm very good in encouraging you guys to allow your home environment become the obstacle course that'll help your dog build this confidence as required when they're puppies. All right, so listen, it doesn't matter where you're at, what your environment looks like. If you have a dog and you're a canine enthusiast, you love the animals, and we can connect, and I can see that, it doesn't mean anything for me to touch and agree with you and help you, mentor you, and help you get to the next level, because you're investing actually in the industry in which I love.
Hey, I gotta say this, man. As you're talking, I see you looking to your left, and I know you're keeping an eye.
Definitely.
On inside there, I can tell you very, very attentive of everything that's going on in there. Because you're talking conscious. And you're always looking to automatically.
Very conscious of my surroundings. Listen, when we're taking care of your dog, we got to keep in mind that that dog, to many, is like their child. And because it's like their child, we want to make sure that we do our part to ensure the well-being and the safety of all animals within our premises.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll see you again sometimes.
It's by life to the afterlife. It's by life, ayy. Yeah, we live that by life, last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread, you could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog, it's all about the legacy. Yeah, we live that by life, last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread, you could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog, it's all about the legacy. It go bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay. It's by life, baby, they changed the mark game. My dog well behaved even when he off the chain. Since I brought him to a aquarium, he never been the same. They got everything from puppies to canines. Based in South Florida, connected like worldwide. Drop them off when you gotta work at 9 to 5. Every dog got his day, baby, it's showtime. So stop by, come through for a visit. You ain't tried everything and your dog won't listen. Now when you say sick him, then your dog gon' sick him. Intruder in the home, send the dog to apprehend him. Look, I know you heard that a dog is a man's best friend, so you should take him to a place you can trust and depends. Don't let your bark be bigger than your bite. You ain't here the first time, then I'ma tell you again. Yeah, we live that by life, last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread, you could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog, it's all about the legacy. Yeah, we live that by life, last of a dying breed, and we throw a bread, you could tell from our pedigree. Bring your dog for training, but we treat him more like therapy. We do this for the Lord, dog, it's all about the legacy.